welcome to another episode of What's Up
Welcome.
Dog. My name is James.
My name is Brandon. Today, actually, James, we do have two very special guests. We have
Yes, we got
one,
two
Leonard, who is actually a listener, who
Hi,
has
hi guys.
who is actually very interested in this topic and wanted to hop on as well. And of
Yeah,
course, we have Glen Chew from
yeah,
Singapore.
Hey,
yeah.
hi
Just
guys.
Hi, Glenn.
oh, just
Hi.
before we
Hi,
dive
hi.
in, hey Glenn. So, What's Up Dog is a super casual podcast where a bunch of guys just hang out, guys or girls, guys and girls, hang out and just talk about dogs, anything related to dogs. Um, we drop an episode every Wednesday. So
Yep.
if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram. It's What's Up Dog _podcast. And follow us on YouTube so that you can see all the episodes that gets released every Wednesday.
Okay, I'll follow you guys now.
So today it's quite exciting because I have here with us Glenn, who was the trainer in charge for the Singapore Search Platoon, and he trained the working dogs for the prestigious Disaster Assistance Rescue Team (DART) in the Singapore Civil Defence Force. He was a trainer in charge of fire investigations, post-blast, and search and rescue dogs throughout his service. So, here's the opening question. Tell us, how the heck did you start it? Like, was it a choice? Did someone shove you in there?
Okay.
Was it were you held against your will?
No. Actually, so how it started was, like all poly in Singapore, after poly, during the poly time, in my time, it was a very cool thing to sign on, right? So everyone was thinking of signing on for whatever reasons, either army, the police, the navy, or whatsoever. My first choice was actually to join the army, but because at that point of time in life, you don't know what you want to do, right? So you just think, hey, army, it's a stable job. But during the poly days, so we had road shows where the different civil government service sectors would come down to the school to give road shows and all. So I didn't know about dog unit. It existed even in the civil defense force. I only know that in the army and then
How,
the
how
police.
old were you then? How old were you then?
I was about 17, 18.
All right.
Yeah. So my first choice was, hey, police K9 sounds good. Let's try that. So yeah. So I sent in my application for the police K9, but
Right.
somehow I went with three other friends for a police interview. Correct. So two friends, one got rejected, one got the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth interview.
Yeah.
I was left hanging. I was like, hey, what's wrong? So yeah. So in that point of time, the civil defense, they came down to our school to do a roadshow as well.
Right.
So that's when I found out that the civil defense they have their own K9 unit as well,
So,
which was relatively unknown.
yeah, for the benefit of those not living in Singapore, how does civil defense fit into the picture? So,
All right. So civil defense is equivalent to your Malaysia bomba,
right.
Mm.
right? Firefighters, yeah. So they do firefighting and rescue. All right. So they came down and they showcased their own K9 unit. So it's like, hey, they have two. So in fact, actually, I was a dog lover since young. I grew up with dogs.
Right.
So it's like, hey, let's why not do this? Something I think I can get used to, right?
And
So
were you
so the
training your dogs or just
sorry,
your personal dogs at home? Were they just pet dogs or were you already
pet
doing
dogs,
something?
no pet
Right.
dogs.
Nice.
Yeah. So I just grew up with dogs, just as a pet dogs and all. So but
Nice.
I'm an animal lover, right? So it's like, hey, let's do something. That's something I can get used to. So I sent in my application, and after graduating from poly, within a month I was in the sergeant course, we call it. So that's a 6-month course
Right.
where we undergo a fire and rescue specialist course, and all the trainers training and so on. So basically, the K9 unit is not something it's a given. It's I have to serve a station tour. That means I have to have my basic foundations in firefighting and rescue.
Yeah.
So the minimum years to serve was actually 2 years, and then
Wow.
I can try applying for K9. It's not a
So
guaranteed.
it's quite difficult to get in then.
Yeah, it's because it's very niche. At the
Mm.
point when I joined, it was only like 8 of us, 8 regulars, and about 12 national service boys.
Right.
Yeah, so if it's a full house and if there's no vacancy and no slot, we won't be able to get in.
Mm.
Glenn,
Yeah,
sorry to
so-
interrupt. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. I just want to ask, actually, this civil defense force, right, for the
Yeah.
training itself,
Mm.
is it the same as the army style training where all the physical work as well, or is it just classes that you attend, or what? What does it
Yeah,
include?
it's different. So army, you know, they are more combat
Yep.
trained and all, right? In the
Yep.
field. For us, we are trained in firefighting and rescue operations.
Yep.
Fight fire and how to rescue casualty from trapped vehicles, how to save a drowning victim, how to extricate the body, and so on and so forth.
So that's the 2
Yeah,
years
so-
of training that you mentioned about, lah, or 6
Yes,
months.
correct. 6 months or the 6 months is called emergency rescue specialist course. That's for the sergeant.
Oh,
So
okay.
those that
Okay.
enter as a sergeant, yeah. So if you are private, those that start off from private, theirs is only a 3 months course.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the sergeant will go through 6 months. So that's that training, in fact, is more of we call it scenario trainings, right? So we undergo having to wear the bunker gear or the fireman suit, we call it,
Mhm.
and donning the heavy breathing apparatus set and all, just to get used to the heat, humidity, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's different from the army.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the one that we have to undergo before we can even be posted to be operational in the fire station.
Okay.
So when we go into the fire station, that's where things we get deployed for emergency cases, the day-to-day cases. In Singapore, there's actually fires in my time, right, many years ago, where there isn't much social media. There's actually a lot of unreported cases of fire. There's no handphone, not much social media. It just goes unreported. But actually, there's a lot of unattended cooking, because we are all living in high-rise flats.
Yep.
Many times, old people, or even youngsters, if after cooking they forgot they have bought something, they go and watch their show, they don't leave the house, and that's when fire starts. Yeah. So so there's a lot of factory fires as well.
So when you got selected, paint the picture for us, man. First day you walk into the kennel, what did it look like? How many dogs were there? What was the smell like? Was it poop and pee?
Okay, so I thank my lucky stars that I was actually selected, because in fact like I said, right, we have to serve a mandatory 2 years in fire station to have that basic before we can even enter the K9, which is considered a specialist track. Correct. So but that being said, my lucky stars came when one of the regulars decided to call it a day and quit. So there was an opening. In fact, I had to stay in fire station for 3 years. And I was thinking to myself, oh, what the hell did I get myself into? Shit, did I got cheated or not? Last time they told me K9 so easy to sign on, right? They were like, shit, do I have to serve all my career here doing firefighting and rescue? It's not something I signed up for, because I just want to work with the dogs, right? So when the opening came, I applied for it. So we had to go through interview as well with the officers from the unit. And somehow I managed to scrape through. Yeah, so I got accepted into the unit. And yeah, so the first day in the kennel, right? It stinks. It gets used. You need to get used to it. I'm sure those that don't have dogs, right, when they step into a kennel for the first time, we don't talk about large scale kennel. So for our kennel, we only had 20 spaces for 20 kennel space for 20 dogs at any point of time. So that's what we call a recon status. That means the maximum number of dogs that we can have.
But
Right. So
these 20 dogs can serve the whole entire nation.
Yeah, it definitely is more than enough. In fact, the calculation is such that we can have 2 teams of 4 dogs.
But you said earlier there's only 9 handlers, right? You said
there's 8 regulars, 12 national service boys. So that's 20 handlers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I see.
Yeah, but there are times there'll be a shortfall when the national service boys they ORD or they operational they finish their service and they go off, and during maybe 1-2 months they'll be shortfall. So it's not uncommon for one regular to be handling many 3 to 4 dogs. Basically, trainings are only conducted by the regulars, from a green dog, which is a dog that knows nothing, to a fully operational dog. So the job of the national service boys is just to maintain the dogs once these dogs are fully operational.
They
So
just
they are taught.
Their role is don't fuck up, right? Just don't fuck up.
Yeah, their role is more of like, hey, make sure that you know how to deploy your dog, because the national service boys their role is more of a kennel hand, we call it. They come and help us, assist us in the day-to-day activities. Bring the dog out, clean a kennel, scoop the shit, clean them, feed them, and bathe them, or whatever not.
So they don't train. They don't train. The 12 of them do not train the dogs at all.
They maintain.
They just
So that means that
maintain.
yes,
Okay.
correct. So they are taught also to deploy these dogs, because if there is a local incident and we feel that these boys they are ready to deploy, we will allow them to, right?
Mhm.
But the national service boys do not get the opportunity to travel overseas for Operation Lionheart. That's only for the regulars.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go back a little bit. Before you guys actually start training, of course you have to select your dogs and breeds, right? So how does the civil defense actually select the dogs, find the breeds, or do they import? How does it work?
All right. So basically, we when we go overseas, almost all of our dogs, in fact, they are from UK and Ireland. Yeah. So we tag along with the police K9.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because every time we go to purchase a dog, for us, we only looking to purchase like 2 to 3 dogs, 4 dogs maximum. But the police K9, they're going there for 20, 30 dogs, and usually, breeders, they will not entertain you if you're like, hey, you're coming here just for 2 to 3 dogs. You're wasting my time, man. Yeah, so the police K9, they are the big brothers. In fact, how the dog unit was set up was with the help of the police K9. Right? They have a stable of 200 to 300 over dogs.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
so they have the central base, they have Woodland checkpoint, they have Toss checkpoint. So they are the big brother in this game, right? They know what is going on. Even the breeders, the contact is from them. So we follow them and we meet up with the breeders that they meet, and we select the dogs at the same time.
But would the breeds be different breeds? Like, would they be looking for like your Malleys, whereas you might be looking for retrievers?
Yes, yeah, it differs. It differs at a point of time to what they are, what specialization are they looking for. So if there are shortage of sniffer dogs, they'll be looking for labs and springers. For us, most of the time we usually looking for labs and springers. But time to time, if there is a dog that fears in the bite work, and the police go there, and then hey, he has a good nose. Let's bring him in for search and rescue.
So
Yeah,
there are different breeds also under the search and rescue team lah, not just lab and springer.
Yeah, we have Malleys, we have Dead Shepherd.
Oh wow,
we have
okay.
as well, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
so we
okay.
have different breeds. Yeah, as long as the dog is friendly, non-aggressive,
And good
they make
sniffer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are usually the ones that the police, hey, when they are testing the bite work and the dog bite strength is not strong enough, they say, hey, you get this guy. Okay, we get it.
So this actually leads to my next question though. Like in terms of your training, what kind of system you guys use? Where does the training start? Does it start at what age?
Sorry, you got cut off.
Hello.
Yeah,
Can you?
can hear you.
Yes. Maybe lost me a little bit. Yeah, so it leads to my next question of training. Do you guys train your dogs in-house, or you have you pre-train it overseas, then it comes over to Singapore, and then you do the maintenance, or at what age you guys start training? How does your training system work?
Okay. So usually when we select the dogs, we require them to be a minimum of 12 months of age. All right. That being said, because characteristics and temperaments are usually formed around there already, and they are quite stable. And we get them back. They are what we call a green dog. That means they do not know anything. The only thing that the breeders help us with is training their ball drive. Right? They make them really crazy for the ball. And then when we bring them back, we see whether we are looking for an arson dog or fire investigation dog, or use a search and rescue dog. And then we classify them, and then we train them accordingly. So the dogs are trained in-house by our own guys. Yeah, so we train them according to their characteristics and temperament. So it takes a good about 6 months to 9 months, depending on learning curve of both dogs and handlers, to be able to be deemed fully operational.
Oh wow, that's quick.
Yeah, that's really quick.
Wow.
That's really quick. So Leonard, James, and I, we are actually in IGP Sports, right? IPO, also known as Schutzen. But we start training at 2 months old, right? So the system of ours is, of course, the younger it is, the better it is. So we actually create all those habits. And you did mention that you guys want more ball drive. Do you guys at any point use any food?
No, we actually do not use food to train. The only time we use food to train is as a form of distraction. Yeah, because reason being, because this was taught to us by the guys. How we got trained is by the guys from overseas. A trainer that we engaged from UK. So the reason why we don't use foods or treats is because in the event of an earthquake, we do not want the guys to be searching for food scents or food source. Yeah. So when we use food is as a form of distraction for these dogs. We plant it on purpose, and if they're going to be indicating the food, and that's why we correct them. Tell them, hey, they'll be supposed to be searching for human scent.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Then, Glenn, just want to ask about like the puppy. Let's say from day one, when it reaches Singapore, does the dog follows a particular handler all the way, or because you said it's maintained by trained by eight different people? So does the dog? How does it work?
All right. So basically the regulars are what we call primary handlers. That means that we are the one that actually from day one where they step foot into the kennels. The regulars will be the one that does everything. So before even we pass the secondary duties to the national service boys, we have to be the one doing everything to create bonding, right? So bring the dog out, play shit and play and whatever not. So once the training is completed, that's when it gets passed on to the national service boys. And the national service boys, like I say, they will be the one daily taking them out to do deployment and all. And the regulars will be the one that is overseeing them to make sure that, hey, nothing screws up and they're doing it right.
Okay. So if let's say you're trading this Labrador A, you just got the in, so it will be under you until it's fully operational. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, correct.
So it doesn't go to another person, even though the system is the same.
Yes, correct. It doesn't go to another person. In fact, one dog can be handled by as many as maybe 3 to 4 handlers in its lifespan, because the national service boys, they're just having 2 years and they're going to ORD, and someone new comes in, someone new takes over.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
basically,
sorry to interrupt, but do you guys have any are you guys certified by IRO or how?
Yeah. So basically, Singapore, we are classified a heavy international search and rescue advisory group. So meaning that we are self-sufficient. We are actually first in Southeast Asia 7 in the world. That means we are so-called the big brother of search and rescue. So if there's any operational
overseas, you can go and deploy your dogs.
That's right, correct. And we are self-sufficient. That means people look to us for answers. That's how big the credential is. So we follow the IRO syllabus. So when we have a recertification, which occurs every 4 years, the assessors from IROs will come down and assess the dog as well as the whole team with the search and rescue capabilities.
Very interesting. Yeah, because in Malaysia, how it works, of course, it's quite political here, right? So of course there's a few different categories of deployment, right? One is first, I think, let the Bombay handle it first, right? So after 24 hours, what happens if they cannot find the victim, right? Then they deploy another team, which is Rela. I don't know how well the dogs are trained. Then after that, if after 24 hours also cannot find the victim, there's 48 hours gone. What's next? Then they find a volunteer SAR group, which we currently have in Malaysia, but by that time, it's already how many hours gone?
The golden hours are gone.
Yeah. So this leads to my question as well. We are a little bit fast forwarding, but in Singapore, after you receive a call of someone who's lost or whatever needs to be found, or a search and rescue call needs to be brought up, what is the time frame that you guys are looking at?
Okay. Sorry. Let me stop you there for a moment. You were saying lost person, right? For Singapore, the civil defense, our job is only for disaster relief mission. That means an earthquake that occurs, a big catastrophic event, like overseas, if you see New Zealand, Indonesia, whatever, or even a building that collapses here in Singapore. That's the job of the search and rescue canine unit, to search for live casualties. So the dogs are not trained to do tracking work to search for people that's lost in the forest area or whatnot. So that falls under the purview of the police canine, where they do the tracking work and then track any lost hikers or anyone in the forest.
Okay. Glenn, earlier you were saying also you all were divided into 3 different divisions. One was fire and one was search and rescue, right? So under the fire part, right? I would like to know more about the fire. How do you use the dogs in that that scenario?
Okay, so the arson dogs, right, or the fire investigation dogs,
Yep.
basically their job scope or their role is to search for any in an event of a fire, if the fire investigation unit or the police they suspect that foul play is involved, that means loan
Okay.
shark activities or insurance fraud claims and whatnot,
Okay.
then they will ask for assistance. These dogs are basically trained to sniff out for flammable liquids or accelerants.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
basically, if it's a genuine fire, a legit fire, electrical short circuit and whatnot,
Yep.
It won't burn the whole place down that fast. And most of the time, these cases are industrial areas where owners are facing financial difficulties. They want to set the place fast.
Yep.
They pour a lot of flammable liquids around the premises and light it up. Because in
Okay.
Singapore, we are so small. We have a response time for fire engine to reach to any location
Yep.
within 8 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 8 minutes, it shouldn't devour the whole building. A fire shouldn't devour the whole building.
Wouldn't this be under the job scope of the police, where they do all the investigation, take the samples, and then all the chemicals, and then to see
Yeah,
if there's all
correct.
these.
Apparently in Singapore, no, the police were their job is to do the investigative work. For us,
Okay.
our job is just to determine, the dog is just to determine whether there has been any accelerant used to start a fire. So we will collect the
okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
so we
Okay.
will collect the samples, send it to the lab, the Health Science Authority, and for them to do their investigation to determine if it's been used. So we actually we learned this from the UK.
Mhm.
Okay, but UK they are different. They have the jurisdiction and they have the power to actually the fire investigation dogs, canine dogs. They can persecute the people there, right? But in Singapore, that's not the job of the civil defense. Our job is to make sure that hey, accelerant has been used. That's it. Then the police
Right.
will take over from there.
So
Yeah, and
how
so different
often
is
does the canine search and rescue team get deployed?
okay. And in Singapore, usually we have small incidents, like construction where the scaffolding falls
Yep.
down, MRT tunnels, it falls down. I would say not much. We are usually basically the setup of the canine unit is such that we are always ready to deploy overseas, where for codename Operation Lionheart. That means the relief search and rescue relief mission.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what actually the canine unit basically is the purpose it was set up for. So I was saying there's a heavy interrupt, there's light classification, medium, and heavy. In order to be a heavy classification, you need to have a canine capability in there.
Meaning?
That means you need to have a canine search and rescue unit in order to qualify for a heavy interrupt classification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So you follow that's under the United Nations standards.
Right.
Yep.
So in Singapore, it's not often. I mean, like, even if so, do you have any stories or any
In Singapore,
your
yeah,
most memorable experience?
we've been to a few scaffolding deployment to a collapse tunnel or flyover. Yes, we have been to there was once where we go, but the dogs only picked up dead bodies.
Right.
So but they are not the dogs are basically not taught to indicate for any dead bodies. They are just taught to indicate for live casualties by barking.
Okay.
Yeah. So how we know there's telltale signs? Dogs are dogs. They just sniff when there's a lot of curiosity, So when they start circling the area and sniffing, and sometimes they're whining and start pawing or scratching or digging every day, hey, yeah. So it's the same also when actually I've been deployed overseas. Unfortunately, there isn't any case of finding a live casualty. Just only dead bodies.
Glenn, speaking of that, actually, I came across one of these someone shared it online on Facebook, where they were talking about during the 911 disaster, right? They said that the dogs found so many dead bodies until the dogs were into depression. Is it true? Do you believe that it will happen to a dog?
For me, right, I didn't see that happening to my dog because I think so the dead bodies compared to 911, it may be different scale. Right? I believe the scale of the dead bodies compared to the ones that we were deployed to and is different. But no, my dogs are the happy-go-lucky still.
Yeah, but is it possible to happen?
I believe so. It might. I won't say it's demoralizing in a way because these dogs they are trained to search for life casualties, right?
Yep.
So maybe at the end of the day, if they do not find something, they do not get the reward they're hoping to get at the end of the day, it might be demoralizing for these dogs. Like, hey, how come nothing's happening, correct? So, but I believe that's where the handler had to play a part in, hey, bring the dog away and engage the dog in some form of activity.
To lead to this, because giving you a scenario as well, because I've had experience with my dogs as well, where I'm not a professional, but this is something that we've had before with my dogs in terms of training for SAR. And I just have a question, because what happens if your dog doesn't succeed or find a victim? Because my dog will be stressed. He would have the intensity to continue to search even no matter what, right? So how do you guys deal with that kind of situation?
Okay, so actually, basically, when we are training, there's something that we do. We call it a blank search, right? The blank search. So we play them for. In fact, we all know that when the dogs are doing search and rescue, to them it's play, right? They just focus on one thing,
Correct.
an objective. Hey, end of the day, I'm going to play.
Yep.
So
Correct.
when we do the blank search, we run them all over the place, like what Brandon said, right? We make it to the end of the day where they're frustrated and they are still raring to go and find. That's when we call off the search. Hey, we reward them for that, for not force indicating. If they do not force indicate to us, but some dogs are damn smart. They're like, hey, I'm just gonna bark for the sake of getting that reward. So if they're barking their heads off and just demanding, hey, they just force indicate you, that's when we're gonna cut them off. But if they are doing a good coverage of the area, they search every nook and corners of it, and they say, hey, good job done. We bring them off the rubbles or the search site, and that's where we reward them.
So how long would you work with them, like in sort of a situation or a scenario like this? What would be your working time, be it real or be it training?
All right, in Singapore here, for our work cycles for our dogs, in given that our weather is the same, right? But we do not train in forested area and all. We train in open under the midday sun and all, on the rubbles. So we can work them for a good 20 minutes, and then the rest for 15 minutes, and then 3 cycles of this. But if we want to push to the extent, we have push dogs to at least 45 to 50 minutes. They still work. But it's just they get slowed down.
So that's also partly the reason why you have 20 dogs. You all take rotation during the search. You deploy all your dogs.
Correct. No, we don't deploy a dog. All the dogs will be work on a different on the same scenario, but just a different timing. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So would you deploy 2 dogs at the same time?
If the search site is big enough and we know that the dog can get along, because we have incident before where the other dog on the hump and it went for the neck. And it's just and then also it has happened before.
So just want to also bring to our audience attention. I think it's really worth mentioning, because you've done something that not many people have done, whether it be Southeast Asia or overseas. You have been to 3 live deployments in Indonesia, in New Zealand, as well as in Japan. What is it like? Do you guys? So I've got so many questions in my head, right? So, are you in a commercial plane? Are you traveling in the belly of a military plane? I got all these questions, right? But what was it like when you were deployed? That morning you got the call, or the night you got the call. How shit, man! Like it's like everyone's
excited. I'm going.
And in your short career, you've been to 3. How many people have been deployed to 3? SAR missions internationally.
It's a happy and sad moment. It's a happy moment that you can get deployed. It's a sad moment that you have to go. Yeah.
Correct.
Like Brendan said, my very first mission is like, oh shit, hey, this is it. Something you have been doing before, right? Because why? Actually, even when we say that our dog is fully operational here after the 6 to 9 months, right? They are never truly operational until they have gone for their first mission.
Correct. Correct.
Yes. So that's when you truly know that whether your dog can perform. Why? Because the long haul flights, once they take the flight there, they are going to be freaked out first by the airplane, right? Because to your question, how do we travel? We go by an army plane, a Charlie 130. Yeah, and if you've been in a Charlie 130,
fucking cool is that?
It's loud as hell, right? But basically we have prepped for scenarios like that. So we usually stuff cotton wools into the dog's ears.
Oh really?
Them up. Yeah, to minimize the sound. because
But they will
otherwise
feel the vibration. They will feel the
They will feel-
vibration,
definitely, yeah. But what we
the
can do is
pressure.
try to ease them, right? So
Yeah.
we are beside our dogs in the crate. So when
Yeah.
they're playing, they are beside us.
Okay, so
So,
you are in the cargo with the dogs.
Correct. Yes, correct. Yeah, we are.
I
we
don't,
are just
James. I
beside
don't
them.
think it's those kind of planes that you take. You
It's-
know,
no, it's
the
just a
planes you
full-
take is like got champagne, got nice.
Yeah.
No.
This kind of plane
There's-
is empty.
There's
you know?
there's no stewardess. There's no stewardess.
There's no stewardess.
You sit too long, your butt hurts. You must stand up and walk around. so the first mission was like, hey, it's something looking forward to, right? You don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
What and what not. But actually, I was
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised with
Yeah.
my dog. Like he's like he know what to do, lah.
Yeah.
It's like,
And so,
we have dogs.
how
that
many
run
dogs?
over.
Sorry, just before you go into the individual mission. So, how many dogs were brought? So, in those 3 instances, how many dogs were brought?
All right. So the Operation Lionheart team consists way back in the first mission was 55-man team. So there's 51 men, including 4 of our dog handlers and 4 dogs.
Right.
Yeah, so 55 men. Right now it has already increased to a 76-man team.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Shit.
it
Go
takes, of
Singapore.
course- Yeah, no, it's not Singapore.
No,
Yeah.
but it's huge. I mean, like if something happened in Malaysia, to know that 76 of the best men in Singapore and the best dogs are coming, I feel pretty comforted.
No, but Malaysia is good as well. You know, their dogs. Because we have also had a few exchanges with them where they have
Oh, yeah?
came down to a kennel to visit. Yeah. What I envy about Malaysia is they have the water search dogs. So we don't have that in Singapore here.
Right. So
What about
sorry, I just want to get to this because this question came from one of our listeners. Her question was basically, do you guys train in urban disasters or natural sort of scenarios as well? Because like you mentioned that, of course, you guys don't have the water train dogs
Yeah.
to deploy, but in Singapore, what kind of scenarios do you really train in?
Oh yeah, we have our own rubble stimulations in Singapore. So there's a place in Mandai that's quite huge. It's called the Home Team Tactical Center, where they have rubbles, with a lot of hiding spaces and all for these dogs to train. And way before that, we had a Mandai training village, and most of the time we go to abandoned buildings, right? We get abandoned buildings. It's just a game of hide and seek. So if you want to train agility and all, that's why we go on the rubbles to make sure that the dogs are confident on rubble. But that being said, right, our rubbles are so man-made, so solid, nothing falls under the feet when we start walking on them, right? But when we go overseas, every step
Singapore
you take,
standard is too high. That's why.
every step you take, everything slides off. Yeah. So we train on rubble. We more so for the dog's confidence to just run over uneven terrains and all.
So then how many like hours would you train in a week with your dog?
All right, so basically we are operational 24. We are operational 24/7, but and our work days is only 7 days a week, but effective training day is just 5 days, Mondays to Fridays.
How many
Saturdays
hours?
every day for each dog we can go about 1 to 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So and we don't take all 20 dogs out. It's like, hey,
Right.
today we're just going to take this batch, and then next day the other batch and all. Right? Yeah. So that's about it. Weekends we just come back to just bring the dogs out for pee and poop and feed them.
Glenn, I just want to ask you a question regarding. There are some people
Sorry,
they're actually
James, you can
doing.
continue the question.
There are some people doing as a dog sports as a hobby, right? So, and for people who actually wanting to enter these sports, will the requirement for the selection of the dog be the same as the actual work itself, or will it be different? What do you think?
For the dog sport search and rescue.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
because for the dog sport search and rescue right now, I believe is tracking work and all, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for us, we do not even do any form of tracking for our search and rescue here. All our dogs are SN trained. Yeah, they are scent training SN.
okay.
Yeah, so the tracking is all actually done by the police K9.
So the selection will definitely be different for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. They're different.
And does the size of the dog matters to you for during performing the mission itself? Do you all use small breeds or large breeds, or what is the preference? Is there a preference by you all?
There is. We usually select our medium size onwards.
Okay.
Yeah, because we want them to be able to scale
Why
up
not?
on their
No
on their-
Rottweilers. Sorry,
um,
James is a Rottweiler fan. So I can ask this question for you. Why don't you guys use Rottweilers?
nothing against the Rottweilers, but basically, dexterity and agility is not there, right?
Oh,
Correct.
come on.
And
Come
they are black.
on. Come
Hot
on.
ma.
No, they can jump. I won't dispute the fact they can do dog sports, right? But that being said, we want dogs that can last longer in terms of stamina wise.
Oh, where's the button that can remove Glenn? Remove Glenn from meeting.
Unfriend.
Unfriend.
And also another thing is because when we go and select these dogs, there isn't any Rottweilers.
Oh, the
Yeah,
whole
so-
They
Europe
didn't make
is
the cut. They didn't
But
the
make the
whole
cut.
Europe is rigged. This
Yeah.
game is rigged.
Also, we are not actually breed prejudice lah. But then whatever breed there is there, we will actually select it if it meets our selection criteria.
Yeah.
see.
But I think I just now
They-
I heard you saying that you all selected terriers as well. Is it for a Saarburg?
No.
Or did I heard wrongly?
Yeah, no terriers. Rottweiler. Not Rottweiler.
Rottweilers.
The Malinois, Dutch Shepherds, Lab Springer Spaniels.
Springer Spaniel.
Okay.
No, so what about cadaver dogs? Do you guys do cadaver? Because that's some
Yeah, that's a police canine.
police canine, right? Good.
Yeah.
Wait,
So,
James. Glenn hasn't finished his story. I want to know his deployment story.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
let's go to deployment. Are you clear
Oh.
to talk about deployments though?
Yeah, sure. I'm the one.
All right. Nice.
Oh, you can
So
talk about
which-
anything. Okay, perfect.
Let's Well, I'm always curious about the one I was most curious about was Indonesia because very similar to our climate, similar climate and everything. But I mean, even for me traveling, like the scent profile of the space is just different. Like the scent signature of the buildings, what they keep in the house, the food and everything, right? Does that put the dog off because it's so used to smelling Singapore smell? I'm sure there's going to be a difference, right?
Actually, there definitely is a difference in terms of diet wise. That's why you see, when we train our dogs, right? Most of the time when we play victims, most of our victims are Chinese, Indians, Muslims. They can't touch dog. But time to time, when we train at the academy and there's a lot of Muslim recruits and all, we usually ask for volunteers, and if they come on board, they are willing to. But we
Yeah.
assure them there's not going to be any form of contact, right? And
Right.
you can actually see the difference in the dog's performance. Why?
What's the
Because
difference?
It takes them longer to find.
Oh wow.
Yes, and we believe and we deduce that because of the dietary difference,
Yeah.
they don't take certain meat at all.
Because
That's
I'm
right.
sure, I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about the scent signature for male, female, Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic,
Yeah,
Indian,
definitely.
Italian. They've all got very different scent signature. And
Yes, correct.
I'm curious how you guys generalize that in your.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah, but we also have, because we also conduct a lot of overseas training, people that comes in for workshop, because the civil defense is like you say, the reason we get the heavy interrupt classification is also a form of credentials where people will come to us, to our academy for training to learn. So we have foreigners from Australia, US, British, and all that come by, firefighters from there. So we also time to time we use them for as volunteers for our victim. But
Yeah.
that when we use them, actually the dog picks them up as per normal. So when we came to a
Okay.
deduction, actually, it's I think it's the food. They eat pork, we eat pork. It's the Muslims that they abstain from pork. That's why the dogs really take slightly longer to actually pick them up.
Yeah. So
But
how
it-
was the Indonesia deployment like?
Yeah.
Eh,
So
but-
in the Indonesian deployment, right? It was the same. The dogs fine. They go around. But
It was an
they did not-
earthquake?
Yeah, it was an earthquake at Padang.
Earthquake. Okay.
Yeah, so it was Indonesia. I would say they're a very resilient country, right? When
Right.
the earthquake happens, the next day you go there, it's like, hey, life as normal.
Wow.
But you see that
It's not even in the news.
Yeah, it's in the news. It's in the news. But you see the whole lot of international countries that sends the search and rescue teams now. It's like it's a competition, I would say, right? So it's whoever finds the alive first, they're going to get credentials for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Bragging rights.
yeah, correct. So basically, when we went there, we were actually quite late to the party, you will say. So I remember Indonesia, we only got deployed after 72 hours.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah, why? Because we in Singapore
You're
here,
so close.
Wait, was this during the tsunami or?
no, the Indonesia Padang, the normal earthquake,
Oh, okay.
the one that yeah. So the reason why is we have a lot of red tapes here, right? A lot of government to go through, and
Yes.
the plane doesn't belong to us. The plane
Mhm.
belongs to
Um,
the RSAF, all right? So they have to clear airspace, get permission to take off and land. So we are at their mercy. So if we do not have a plane, we cannot even go off for any mission relief effort.
right.
Yeah, so that's one of the reason why. So when we go there, so how it's like, right, when there's a earthquake, every country wants to be there ASAP. So whichever country goes there, they get the best search sites. The best search sites is the ground zero. So whoever is ground zero, you have a higher chance of finding life casualty.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
where your bragging rights come in.
Yep.
Right. So when we get there, we usually are given spots that's at the perimeter and around there. Yeah. Or we if a country is willing to collaborate, then that's where we collaborate with them, and work the sites together.
Wow. So much more to it than just rocking up.
Yeah.
Ben,
Yeah. So
sorry, is there like a golden time period for your like a ideal time, like within how many hours from the incident happened? Is there such thing?
definitely, yeah. There is definitely as soon as possible, right? You want the sooner you get there, the higher your chances of finding a life casualty. The longer we drag on, it depends. But there has been amazing stories online. You will see some people can even survive up to a week, given
Oh,
the circumstances
wow.
that they're in. If they are lucky, they're at a corner, they're not smashed, and there's rain and water droplets are coming through. They get water.
Mhm.
That's where survival chances are higher. But if let's say you get one that's already pinned down and the loss of blood and all, they're going into shock and all. That's when their
Mhm.
chances dwindle as time goes by.
Mhm.
So
So
in
we want
your sorry, yeah, sorry, you continue.
yeah. So we want to actually get that as quick as possible. But that being said, it's all also not up to us. Like there's a lot of protocols to undergo before we can even reach a country.
No,
Right. Because I wanted to ask because like if you send your dog right to a search site, I'm sure you need a team, right? But
Mhm.
what do they entail in terms of your teammates, right? Of course, you send one dog. Who follows you? Who does what? I mean, I'm sure there's like a someone with a communication, navigation, clues and awareness, medic, or I don't know.
Yeah, correct. So we have a civil engineer one,
Mhm.
and then we have two dogs, and then eight 8 to 12 men of Dart specialists. They are the one that does the extrications and all, stabilize the site if there is a confirmed victim, or even if there's a dead body found. Then hey, they're just going to extricate whatever is found there.
Mm.
And yeah, so there's a doctor also that follows us and a paramedic. Yeah, and the ground commander. So
Oh.
this is what, yeah. So basically, one team we are able to separate into two different search sites,
Right.
2 dogs each. Yeah. So the dogs basically are the very first hasty search that we're going to do, and make sure that hey, the site is clear before all the equipments come in, the life detectors and whatever not.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's the area of interest indicated by a dog, that's where they put the life detectors and all, just to make sure and get things right.
Wow.
And any like, I know it's a silly question, right? But stray dogs, like if your dog's working in a site like this, there must be stray dogs running around, right?
Yeah. There is definitely is. So that's why whenever that's the reason why we got to be very careful. We got to make sure that we do something we call AOS, the appreciation of situation. That means we survey the area and make sure that hey, what's to look out for, and any dangers, Or in fact, when we go to a search site, nothing is safe, right? When you step on the rubber,
Yeah.
everything will crumble.
Yeah.
But we have a safety lookout man and so on and so forth. Basically, that's the reason why also every dog handler we have rabies vaccinated, because in case if there's a dog fight, we have to separate the dog. Our dogs are rabies free, but not dogs of other countries, right? So in case we get beaten, we know that hey, we are protected.
Yeah.
Was there an event where the dogs got injured during the search? Not because of the fight. I mean, during the search itself, was there an event where your dogs were injured?
Minor cuts, yes, it does happen time to time. That's why all the regulars we undergo vet attachments. So in the vet attachments, we train in USAR canine first aid, right? That's how to we also do suturing.
Oh wow!
So we learn to suture the dog if there is a need for it, because we do not have the luxury of a vet that's attached to us. And also in this, and sometimes also dependent on the country, there might not be a vet clinic or anywhere nearby. Yeah, so we need to be able to be able to conduct the very first basic canine assessment, just a basic first aid assessment, to make sure that we are able to bandage, wrap up this fella, and find the nearest medical facility for the dog.
Wow.
Yeah, but that being said, right, New Zealand has the best welfare for the dogs when we were there.
Oh
yeah. So what was the weather for New Zealand and Japan when you guys were deployed? What season?
I believe it was winter. I don't know whether it's winter or not, but it's cold, right?
Cold as heck.
Even in New Zealand, when in countries like that, when they say it's summer, it's still cold, because we were the only one that we were the only team there that's actually freezing. The others, the Angmos, right? They're all wearing berms and t-shirts. Then we were like all full dress with our ski caps and all, and we were not equipped for the cold weather.
Yeah.
But luckily,
the dogs.
Yeah,
the dogs
love
okay
it.
with?
Yeah, the dogs are okay with it because they're from UK, right? I mean, in fact, in New Zealand, the dogs were able to work much longer, and they can work much longer without even having the need to drink. And that was a cause for concern. So when the vet came down, some of our dogs have to be IV drip because they were dehydrated. But they do not look like it, right? But we did the skin test to make sure that hey, the elasticity is not there. No, your dogs are dehydrated. So there is vets that come by every day basically to check on our dogs in New Zealand.
That's nice.
And then they got volunteers that come down, they bring the spa up, the dogs undergo spa session.
Wow.
That's how good it is.
That's the difference between Western country and Asian country.
And Japan? Oh, sorry, New Zealand was the earthquake as well?
Yes, correct. New Zealand was the earthquake. So 1 week later, Japan happened, right? The Fukushima. But Japan is a triple whammy, right? Earthquake, tsunami, and the nuclear reactor.
Yep.
So in Japan, actually, we didn't get to do much because it was actually an amazing race. We were trying to run away from the nuclear explosion.
Oh shit!
So Japan was a special case. They only requested for our search dogs. They did not want the whole team there. They just wanted search dogs. So
it was an official Japan writes the request into Singapore.
Yeah, I don't know how they communicated with our embassy. So Japan, we flew in a actually commercial flight. We flew in the West commercial flight there. Yeah.
Your dogs were in cabin or in
cargo.
belly?
They were in the cargo. In the belly, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I actually want to. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, what's the flight time for Japan and New Zealand?
Ayo, fly lah.
I don't get to travel so
lah.
often. No, it's a different plane, man. They are in a military plane.
Yours is private. You can fly anytime.
Yeah, I think New Zealand is quite long. Maybe 10 to 13 hours. I somewhere there is quite long.
Right.
Yeah.
And the dogs were okay?
Yeah, they're fine. They just come out, look, lethargic, sleepy a bit. But after that, we get them up to mark, right? Engage them in play for a bit, and they're fine. Yeah.
So in this actual, just before we end, I do want to have you basically ask a bit of a questions in terms of training, right? I want to make this segment as what you would actually are you able to share some tips of how we could actually motivate and inspire our listeners who are interested in search and rescue, what is the best thing they can do when training the dogs, or for example, I have a 2-month-old dog, and I want to get my dog to do search and rescue in future. Maybe I volunteer, I don't know, but what can I do from there?
The
Actually,
basics, right?
I've been following this search and rescue Malaysia volunteer group, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think actually they are doing a good job. I've seen some progress where they brought this IRO guy in to help with certification and whatnot. So I think there's a platform for Malaysians if they want to do. In Singapore, we don't have the opportunity because if you are members of public or you're a civilian, the government will not engage you to help out in any operational deployments.
Of course.
Right. In the past, we used to have volunteer trainings where we get members of public to come in on the weekends, and we train them, we teach them, we teach their dog, we assess their dog. If their dogs are up to it, they have the what it takes to be a search and rescue, we train them. So in the past, we had this idea where, hey, if we are shortfall of number of dogs and we need help in a large scale operation locally, we can bring in these guys. But that being said, I think higher management came to a conclusion that, hey, these guys are not search and rescue trained per se.
Correct.
So it is a risk factor, right? If they're going to go on the rubble,
Correct.
Insurance is going to be a problem. Who's going to be answering for if anything that's going to happen to these guys? So that program got scrapped. But whereas in Malaysia, I think the volunteer, I'm not sure about the jurisdiction or protocol there. I think it's a very good place to be training at because you guys have the facilities. That it's a big area. In Singapore, we want to get a facility even just to be training. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. So if you don't have the right facilities to be training at, right, there's no point to be training in search and rescue unless you're doing tracking work and all, right? But if search and rescue, usually we need a large scale area, abandoned buildings, fallen debris area, rubbles. Then that's how we're able to train and make sure that, hey, these dogs are able to fly on the rubble and it's like nothing to them. Then it gets easier.
Can you share some tips of like what you would actually train, like as a puppy
Okay,
or whatever?
Like the
so
shaping,
Shaping or
shaping,
behavior.
basic conditioning you do for puppy.
So basically, for when the dogs come in, we get down their basics, so their foundations have been right. Basic obedience up to advanced obedience. So we once their obedience is settled, that's when you work them on the search and rescue work because we do not really focus too much on obedience here in the civil defense, the canine dogs. Why? Because we have seen instances like where we are so hell bent on the obedience, they heal, hey, you gotta stay near me. These dogs will never travel far out on their own. They have a need to be very reliant on their handler, and they have a need to be sticking close. So as long as that heel is there, you don't need that prancing, right? Like the IGP or you guys are doing very nicely. As long as they understand what it means, then we send them off. In fact, for search rescue, we want the dog to be as crazy as possible, hey, running as far as possible. So we always try the best to, hey, if you have a dog, you want it to be confident, let it run on its own. After that, then you start on the recall work, but not when the dog is that young. Because if you're going to start the recall and then he's going to be, hey, I don't want to be running too far, otherwise my handler is no longer near me and they get freaked out or over reliant, then it'll be difficult to let the dog run far.
Yes. Yeah.
So basically, I would suggest ball drive, working the drive, toy drive, or whatever they're interested in. Work it. Once they are able to grasp the concept and they're very happy with it, right? That's where training gets much easier.
Yep.
Yeah.
One question also another I have. Is it possible for them to be multi-purpose?
Yes, definitely. In other countries, right, they train dog with different capabilities, different specialization. But here we do not, because there's literature review where it shows that the dog sometimes get confused. Yeah. So, for example, when we train the reason why is we only have that amount of dogs. When for civil defense, when we go and get a dog, right, there's actually no room for failures, because unlike other countries, they have abundance of dogs. If this dog doesn't make it, hey, I'm just going to send it back to a fosterer. Next one comes in. So when the higher management sends us to purchase a dog, 2 to 3 dogs, we have to make sure even if this dog, for example, we have dogs that come back, they totally have zero ball drive.
Yep.
And we're like, hey, what the hell happened? How did this dog even manage to pass the test? It's number one. And then you realize, hey, because it's the criteria where, you know, once these dogs are affected, for example, the females, they're required to be spayed. And once they are spayed, the drive drop after selection. So then, yeah.
The drive
So that's
drops.
something, yes, that's something
Wait, so does it mean that even the males need to be neutered?
No, only the females.
Only
in
female.
The contract
Why?
right now. Yes, only the females need spayed because when it's on heat, right, the males go crazy here.
Ah, makes sense.
Yeah, and they do not want the. But in the past, right, during my time way back, right, the females did not need to be spayed. In fact, we use that period or the heat, right, as a form of distraction. That means we purposely work the females on the rubbles first, and then we sending the males. Then when the males start sniffing on that drops and the liquid, hey, stop your nonsense, get back to work, right?
Oh.
So yeah, and that's when you know, hey, whether you have a dog that's really focused, or just scenting around, you know. Yeah. So, but that being said, I think also to prevent unwanted pregnancy, I would say, because sometimes you never know, you know.
So there's no breeding program too.
No, not here in Singapore.
Only all dogs are purchased from overseas.
Yes, all dogs are purchased from overseas.
No local.
No, we had one.
I think yeah. I mean, it would be economically
Such a
friendly.
waste, right?
yeah, if you guys have good dogs, yeah.
It will be if there is, because I don't believe there's anyone here that breeds working dogs lineage. Right. Whereas in the overseas, those guys are professionals. They have been breeding working working dogs. Their parents and grandparents, the lineage are all down the line. We ever tried and getting a local dog before a lab, from a local farm here, just a normal lab. It couldn't cut it. Its obedience was good, but you know it didn't have the drive to be working.
Right.
It didn't have the drive to be searching. Yeah.
Right.
And actually, what happened? Sorry, James, you go ahead.
No, just a quick one. How long do your dogs stay operational, or how long are they used for? From what age to what age?
Okay. It's gotten much better. It's gotten much better. In the past, we because of some issues, because of the number of dogs we have to maintain at any point of time has to be fixed, right? So in the past, we because of budget and per se, the dogs actually could work up to 10 to 11 years old.
Wow.
Right now it's compulsory for. I'm just talking for civil defense, right? Right now it's compulsory. We try to retire them when they are 8 years old. Same, we're doing the same as the police canine. So police canine has a strict retirement age of 8.
And what happened after that?
Yeah,
they're put up for adoption.
Are you able to adopt it? Does the priority goes to the handler first?
Yes, definitely the priority goes to the handler. In the past, right now, it wasn't that way. The priority in the past, it was like a bidding system.
Okay.
So a mass email will be sent out to the whole force wide, the whole civil defense, and say, these dogs are for adoption. So it'll be internal, right, in the force, not just the dog unit. So firefighters, paramedics, anyone. So everyone will put in their place for bid, and then highest bidder wins.
Oh.
Wait, so you have to pay for the dog?
Wow.
Yeah, you have to pay for the dog, the highest bidder. So right now, but throughout the years, we've actually revamped the system. We put in a recommendation. It shouldn't be the case. You know, these dogs have been with the handlers through thick and thin. So priority should be given to the handlers. So handlers right now the handlers are given priority, but that is based on assessment as well to ensure that these guys are able to well cared for the dogs as well as
space.
Yes.
At no cost?
Space is it? Right now,
is it
$50. $50.
Okay.
$50 adoption fee.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if I wanted to,
can you send one over?
Can for us, we have never had that case, but police, yes, I believe there has been cases where dogs have been sent over to Malaysia.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bring them
in
over.
Fact, it's one of our dogs. So this dog is a German Shepherd. He feared in our search and rescue training because when he came back, he was super aggressive. He was biting the whole unit down. So that is somehow that wasn't something that qualified him for a search and rescue dog. So we did a one-on-one exchange with the police, and that dog retired and he got sent to Malaysia. That's how I know
That's good. I mean, at least you guys don't do PTS or anything like that.
yeah,
So
no.
that's,
We
of
do
course,
not
the best thing.
PDS unless it's
Yeah.
medical reason, right? But
Right.
we avoid that.
Ooh. Hey, so what are you doing nowadays? So I know that you've left and you're doing something on your own, but it's still K9 related.
Yeah. I'm just a normal pet dog trainer now, right? I'm just so I have my own I have my own company now. Yeah, so I'm doing dog training. So
Where can people find
basically,
you?
Yeah. On K9 Matters. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, K9 Matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll give you a follow.
And so what happens? What's in the day? What is it like a day in your shoes today, like nowadays?
Okay. So basically, I do private trainings, right? So I go to clients' place and conduct training for them, one-on-one or one to
Right.
the whole family. Yeah. So just to teach them the basic obedience commands, or
Right.
if it's a behavior issue, whatever it is.
K9 Matters.
I'll follow you.
Nice.
Follow through.
Hang on, I'm gonna follow you now. So sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so the K9 Matters mirror issue, and we also actually do nose work. We have had actually a lot of requests for us to actually conduct search and rescue training. But like I
Okay.
said earlier on, right, because we do not have the facilities here in Singapore.
Hey, come by
And
to
so-
Malaysia. We'll organize it for you.
Yeah. That's just something interesting, right? When this is all over, because actually, when I left the force, right, I was actually I told a few of the guys that hey, actually Malaysia they are good. They have members of public, they have civilians, they have volunteer rescue dog group, which is very interesting. And then and actually I see the development over the years that you guys are there. So mixture of males and females, and it's interesting, and also how serious you guys are and in engaging the RO specialists down to actually guide you guys.
Yeah, there's actually a couple groups here. So the thing is, I mean,
Are you guys all in one yourself?
yeah, but we're in a different group. So Leonard and I, we train under Michael Lee. So Michael's actually has a bunch of experience. He trains the China search and rescue team as well. He's quite credible. Also, I was called to do to go on with the SAR group with the one that you follow. But of course I don't have that time to do it. You know what I mean? But I mean, as much as I would really love to really get my dog ready, deployed ready. I mean, in the sense of if anything happens, I think I would love to help out. But
yeah, it's good. I mean, if the protocol there in Malaysia allows volunteers to help out, I think that's a really good thing.
yeah, but you see, that's the thing, right? So this is something that I do want to invite them and really talk about this, because I think it's not fair, because there's so many groups, there's no focus onto one, and that would mean the time to search is all the golden period is gone, right? So it makes it super difficult for anyone or any group to go and find a victim.
So is it like based on context, or someone and then hey, you'll be invited?
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on that, but it sounds like it, right? I mean,
I think maybe what can be done, right? Because Malaysia is so huge, right? Hey, each of their volunteer group have their own sectorization. Hey, if anything happens near here, we are first to respond. It should be something like that, right?
correct.
Then only if they are unable to handle it, hey, someone comes in. But that being said, some groups, they have big egos. Hey, I do need your help. I can do this all on my own.
Yeah.
Right. And if there is really something like that, so much, I don't know how many volunteer search and rescue groups there are in Malaysia, but if it's already a big following, right? Why not organize your own search and rescue competition?
So some of the dogs there are mongrels, I believe, right? But of course, doesn't really matter to them. But as long as it can do, but yeah, I mean, like what you said, I think it's fair. Like for example, for where I stay, if there was an incident here, I should be the first one to be called out, right?
Yeah,
because
correct.
I don't know how long the other guys may be or whatever. But I feel this needs to be sort
Address,
of
yeah.
addressed in terms of the jurisdiction and the laws and stuff like that. Because I know for a fact that even the police K9 is not to be deployed to bite people or whatever here in Malaysia, right? But yeah, I mean every country has a different rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much of the stuff you've learned and done in all the past years, I mean 10 over years, how much does it translate to pet dog training? Is it like a completely different ballgame, or do you see lots of similarities, or are you using a lot of foundations?
Actually, it's a very different ball game, right? You can ask Ian, right? The way we train the national service boy, the way we train a dog, hey, anything you do, you're just going to get F upside down, right? Yeah, you stupid or what? So sometimes,
Yeah.
but when you're talking to clients, no, you don't do that, right?
Hey, you stupid or what?
Yeah. So basically, like how inject will talk to your man, right? Correct. So
Yeah.
it's so different. When we are talking to clients, we have to bear in mind PR plays a part, right? How we going to present ourselves and all. And we cannot train a pet dog the way we train a working dog. All right. Why? Because not everyone has that same learning curve. Or not everyone is cut out to be that sort of trainer or
everyone,
handler, I would
correct.
say.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of different pairing of dogs and owners, and sometimes they just get themselves land themselves in big trouble. You know, that's when when the truth has to be told, like, hey, this dog is not for you. I don't think so. Or you need to be firmer to your dog. It's up
You
to
get in that situation a lot?
Yeah, I would say a lot. But then we show them that if it's possible to be done by me, it's definitely possible to be done by you, right? Unless the owner is not willing to change for or take any word of advice, then there's nothing that actually we can do to help. I mean, the dog training, everyone can train a dog. The main thing is about teaching the handler.
Yes.
If it's
100%.
not going to be open to ideas and all, then it's going to be very difficult.
I have a very controversial topic. I don't know if you want to get into this.
Yeah, no,
but,
and Brandon can get very controversial.
Not really. I don't think so. But okay, so this controversial topic. Actually, this is a very good topic because James also has commented on this before. Recently,
Oh, have I? Oh, shit.
recently we saw on Instagram, right? There was this post about someone using an e-collar, right? And then it got viral, right?
Oh,
So-
yes, that's right, in
So
Singapore.
yeah, I mean,
the one in
question.
Singapore here.
Yeah. So okay, to be fair, I use one, right? I use a e-collar,
yeah.
but I use it because we know how to use it, right? I don't use it as a punishment tool. We use it as a motivational tool, right? So my question here is that, because a lot of people commented in when we spoke about this on Instagram, and everyone was saying no, this e-collar should be banned, blah 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 blah, all these things. Okay, yeah, okay. To be fair, it should be banned if you don't know how to use it, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
it's too
why
easy.
should guns be banned in America? Right? A lot of people don't know how to use the gun. The gun kills people, not the people kill people, not guns kill people, right? So at the end of the day, the topic here is: do you think it's a good tool, or I mean, it's okay. You don't have to answer it, but
Yeah.
I think for me,
No, it's okay.
I think it's a great, it's a brilliant tool, right? It's a brilliant tool if you know how to use it.
Correct. As a trainer, I'm always asked this question, right? Hey,
Yep.
what do you think of the choke chain? What do you think of trainer? What do you think of e-collar? What do you think of the prong? Whatever not. I always tell this to my students, right? If any tools, if utilized wrongly, can be detrimental and harmful
Right.
to a
Even
dog.
a leash, right? Even
Yeah,
a leash.
even the harness, right?
Yes.
Many people do not know that the harness is actually detrimental. They say, how is it so? You know, if your dog sit pulling, they get rash burn under the armpit. Have you seen a dog? I don't know whether you've seen this before, but I've ever had or known of a dog that, you know, ran to the end of the leash, the owner target, it slipped, it got slip disc.
Oh,
That can happen. Yeah. So just imagine the body flip suddenly. Yeah. It happens. So any tools, they ask me, what's your take on e-collar? For me is, as long as a person is well versatile and knows
Yes.
how to use it,
yes.
who's to stop it? And in fact, I've known the e-collars to have actually helped many people, who have
Yes, correct.
really serious aggression. But then I students say, no, but aggression, you can just solve it slowly, positive. But my reply is always this: you never know true aggression until you have seen an aggressive
Correct.
dog. It's not a dog that,
Correct.
Damn right. So right.
It's
Yeah.
the same question,
So-
it's the same topic as, like, for example, let's say your dog is super aggressive now, right? How are you going to positively tell your dog that this is wrong? Good boy. Good boy, right? It doesn't make sense to
correct.
me, right?
For me, right, and I have a lot of requests that says, hey, can you teach me how to use the e-collar? But for me here when I'm training, I do not use the e-collar. Why? Because simply said, I'm not taught to use the e-collar. In my years of service,
Mhm.
the only thing that we stop short at is at the choker chain.
Correct.
Yeah, so I've actually told my clients, hey, I'm not the subject matter expert in that. You want to
Correct.
go to find someone that knows
Correct.
it. Yes, I'm a trainer. I know how it works, but I'm not going to use your dog as an experiment tool.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
So I
That's
said,
very fair.
yeah. So they're like, hey, then if my dog has aggression, how? If you do not use the e-collar, how? I said, I know the choke chain.
Mm.
Let's go to the choke chain. I said,
Mhm,
even the most aggressive of cases, even in a police canine, I've seen
Yes.
the choke chain is more than enough to actually, hey, tame your dog and make it, hey, a happy go lucky dog.
Mhm,
It's just
mhm.
how one utilizes a tool. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who are trigger happy, right? They when they get emotional, just start pressing.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I can
yeah.
tell you what an e-collar feels like, right? I mean, just for the general public, because to me, if you have those massage tapes, right, you those OSIM things, you plug it onto you,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
press.
It gives a
To
pulsating
me,
feeling.
yeah, it feels the same thing in a different stimulation. It's the same stimulation for me, right? Of course, depending on what brands you are using, but I mean,
Yeah.
people don't have that understanding of what it feels like to be talking about it. This is something that's why I say it's controversial, because many people have different takes about it, right? But
Yeah,
again,
I'm not sure
this
about.
topic
I'm
is
not
something
sure. Yeah,
else.
I'm not sure about Malaysia, but in Singapore, recently there's a movement, that for everyone be calling on a ban on e-collar. I won't say everyone, but there's two parties onto it, right? Those that have used the e-collar and found that it's beneficial and it's helped them out a lot. Those that sees the video of, hey,
Yep.
oh my gosh, this is just going to mentally,
Yep.
damage the dog. Psychologically, the dog will be, forever in this state of mind of fear, and then you're going to one day it's just going to lash out and all. But even the same for my choke chain, when they say, hey, you guys, in fact, I tell my students, my nickname in the training industry, I call myself Glen the dog screamer, right? Why? A lot of people ask me why you call it a dog screamer? Because in camp, when we train these search and rescue dogs, they're required to run one football field away or even further. Hey, we cannot like, hey, come back, boy, softly. It's like, come, So I'm one of the loudest screamers. So one of my colleagues made a joke. So at that time, Caesar Milan was trending, right? The dog whisperer. Yeah, they're like, hey, you're not whisperer, you're a screamer. Yeah. So it's like, I tell my students this. I say, look at my dogs. My dog is a testament to my training.
Yes.
He's on the choker. Does he look sad to you?
Yep.
He sees me, he greets me, he jumps on me, he has fun. I mean, the dog knows his boundaries. Once he knows his boundaries and thresholds, and
Correct.
there's clarity, everything just falls into place.
Correct.
That's when, hey, you want to use the harness and whatnot, it's up to you. First, you need to set the boundaries.
I also think there's a difference in people's definition for a happy dog, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there are the typical ones who see the Caesar Milan style where, okay, your dog is happy, but it looks really slow, very docile, very chill, nonchalant. To most people, especially in the pet, yeah, they find that that's a happy dog because it's calm, because it's chill. But in our world of the working line, the working dog, I love my dog jumps up, goes crazy, hyperactive, nibbles me a little bit. I love it because to me, you can see that he's so happy for just even the minor things. The moment he's in the kennel, I call his name, oh, his tail just boom, very fast. Whereas most the people that I've seen, they call the dog runs away, and they still think that's a happy dog, right? So, this is one reason why I think it's a controversial topic, because there's different definitions in everyone's mind. There's no right or wrong. Yeah, you can be right. You can be wrong. I don't mind. But for my definition, my dog, being a happy dog, enjoys my presence, happy, runs around, tail wagging, going crazy, I can still calm my dog down, right?
Yeah. When it's time to work, we work. Time to play, we play.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's
Correct.
what I always tell
correct.
everyone.
But Glenn, coming
Mhm.
coming from a working dog background, I mean, like I consider myself a sport dog, not so much working,
Mm.
and I consider you like serious proper working because you're in the belly of a military plane going to a country with rumbles, right? But and you, it sounds to me like you're using a very balanced style training where there is reward when reward is due, and then there's consequences when it's needed, right?
Yeah.
How do you find coming out from that into the pet world, into the civilian world, when you're introducing consequences to your clients? How do they view your consequence or your corrections or your positive and negative punishment? Do they get shocked? Like,
No, usually most of the time they do not. I mean, it all boils down to clarity on my part as well. How what I'm explaining I'm doing. Why is this needed? Why is it needed so? Earlier, like Brandon was saying, hey, if your dog is aggressive, he's growling at you. Hey, good boy, well done. Yes, good boy. No one does that, right? Positive trainers, if your dog is aggressive, he's growling at you. Hey, just turn your back. Wait till he settles down. You turn around, he does the same thing. How is it going to end? It's never going to end, right?
Bites you in the ass.
yeah.
Prey is trying to turn away.
Yeah, correct. So it's stuff like that. Right? And I will always put the question out to my students, right? Hey, first thing first, I'm sure you've tried being very nice to your dog. Has it been working? No, it's not been working. That's why you are calling me now, right? Yeah. That's when shit gets real, right? Then they know, oh yeah. And when they see the results, the improvement in that's when they realize, yeah, there is many ways to be training a dog.
Yeah.
There's no one way and the only way. So I mean, as a trainer, we've got to be very open to different training methods. Okay, I won't say, hey, my way is the best way. I've seen positive trainers that can work very well, but that depends on the learning curve of the dog and whether the dog understands it. But if you're going to get a dog that, hey, no matter how nice you are to it, it's just going to bite your ass at the end of the day. Then you need to tell him, hey, let's do this and this first, then I'll be nice to you. Then it gets understanding, it gets clarity. That's when it gets better.
Balance.
Yeah.
I mean,
In fact,
No,
in fact, when I've been training a lot of my clients' dogs, they say, why you call Glenn the dog screamer? You're so gentle to my dog. Then I said, yeah, wait till you see when people see the way I train my working dogs, they will scream bloody murder.
But Glenn, you seen, I mean, in your time, in the force, you've seen so many dogs, hundreds of dogs, right? And then coming out, you've seen hundreds of dogs as well, right? You've seen more dogs than probably the three of us combined. True aggression, how many are we talking in percentages? Like, I mean, because many people say my dogs are aggressive, right? But the dog's scared, the dog's nervous, the dog is unclear. But like true aggression, like this guy just wants to fuck you up. Like you turn around and the guy is gonna fuck you up, right? How many true aggression dogs have you seen?
Okay, that's what we call the dominance aggression, right? The dominance aggression compared to fear aggression is a lot, right? That's not the dog that just want to fuck you up, right? The dominance aggression, the dominance aggression, I would say it's not much, right? Dominance aggression, you just need to show them, hey, I'm not going to back off, I'm going to fight. So in my working line, I've seen about three dominance aggression that's like, hey.
So in all the hundreds of dogs, there's only three real dominant aggressions.
Because you know why? The reason when there's so little is when we go to select the dogs, we are looking at the characteristic and temperament. But out of those that fall through so out of the those that fall through the gap, right, counted somehow they switch, they flick. The switch got flicked, right, and then that's when that shit happens. It could be maybe the way that their trainer was training them. It might bring out that aggression. It's like it happens. So the dog that went to Malaysia, the shepherd, where we gave to the police one, that was an interesting case, right? It only attacks the national service boys, but it leaves the regulars.
What a dickhead!
Yeah. So it knows how to find the weakest link, right?
Yeah. But you recognize this dog? I mean, like, say if I walk to a friend's house, dog, or I walk to a friend's house and he has a dog, like, what are the signs that says that this guy is pure proper aggression? Like this guy is gonna take a bite and hang on to it. It's not like a fear nip, you know.
Yeah, simple. You just walk in, you walk towards it, it runs towards you, then that's it. You walk towards it, it backs off, yeah, hey, he's gonna
Okay, this guy's for real.
Yeah.
And do you see them the of the few that you have seen with pure aggression? Is it like in specific breeds, or is it just across anything? You just see in mongrels as well.
We in mongrels. In fact, mongrels there's quite a few of them. All right. But more of I wouldn't even say the shepherds. Actually, shepherds they're far and few. I would say Frenchies. Yeah, the Frenchies. There are quite a few corgis. Even the
Really?
Spitz. Yeah, there's some that's hey, yeah, come into my space, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Wow. Should get them into protection sports then. Cool. Hey, it has been super, man, chatting with you. I think there's so much more we want to ask, but the hour is up, and I'm just conscious because Brandon will be editing this with, and he's going nuts trying to figure out which part to cut out. But would you be happy to
I
come
don't
on
think
in
we
the
need to
future,
cut out
man?
anything, right?
Yeah, but if it goes on for 2 hours, then
No, okay.
would you be happy to come on into the future or in the future to talk about other stuff? I mean, like, because sometimes we come across certain topics and we're like, hey, you know what? Glenn would be a great guy to get onto this topic to talk with this person. Can we give you a buzz? Are you open to that, or was this a painful experience?
No, no, anything. Anyway, the reason I agree to is because Ian is a really good friend, and he said, "Hey, my cousin wants you." So this, I'm all for it. Yeah.
Twisting your arm.
Yeah. No, it's not twisting my arm. I mean, I'll be glad to help you out with it.
Thank you so much.
It'll be super. So our audience can find you on Instagram and Facebook, K9 Matters.
K9 Matters.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you do pet training. What if someone wanted to dabble into certain sports and things? Would you feel comfortable to do the foundation and stuff with them?
We are actually doing nose work as well, but our nose work, we are actually training the dog to be an arson dog. Like nice. What we do the same in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's
giving some dogs a job.
Yeah, correct. Because that's something that you don't need a big area for. You just need a small space, and it's easy to get hold of accelerants. Yeah.
Yeah. Be dangerous.
Yeah, but
nice.
That being said, it's not for all dogs, We really do an assessment to ensure that the dog is up for it. The owner is up to it, and then we start the training. Otherwise, they just be wasting everyone's time and their money.
Yeah. And I mean, like, are you busy? Like, so our listeners who are, because we spoke to Stephanie in Singapore, Happy Tales Asia. And so I think we creeped in a bit of Singapore followers into our audience base. But so for our Singapore audience interested to get your service, right? Is there like how are you? Are you free? Do you have a long waiting line?
Yeah.
Because it's just one of you.
Yeah. Actually, no, I've actually trained up. Well, I have another trainer who used to be my national service boy, also served in the K9 unit. Yeah. Nice. So I'm able to send another trainer out. But for me, usually a lot of people are requesting for me, and there's a waiting list.
Yeah.
So I usually tell them if they do not mind waiting, there's a minimum wait time of about 1 to 2 months. Otherwise, I'll send someone to help with training.
That's good. So to our listeners, if you're interested to have a chat with Glenn, you got a dog with a problem and he doesn't respond to you, or he tells you I'll be there next month, he's not being a dickhead. It's just he's just a bit busy.
I always respond to everyone. Respond. Nice. It's just a matter of time. Usually I'll respond late because I'm busy in sessions.
Yeah.
But I'll try my best to respond. Yeah.
Hey Brandon, where can we find you?
You can find me on Barras Wonder Tigerland on Instagram, and definitely follow our Instagram account, What's Up Dog _podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So James, where can we find you?
I make the most noise on Facebook in a group that I started called Malaysian Working Rottweilers Club. I'm the only one chatting there, so it's very quiet and lonely. jump in, have a chat with me in there, like my comments, like my posts.
But first of all, at the end, let's thank both our guests, because we have Leonard
Yeah.
here also, who has also listened on to our podcast and was very intrigued about getting onto this topic as well. So thank you, Leonard.
Thank you so
coming
much.
on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And
No, but
last
Leonard,
but
Leonard,
not least,
hang on. It's a quick one. Leonard, we gotta plug this because your two dogs are freaking amazing.
oh yes, we are going to wait. We got to plug this on, because we will have Leonard on as our guest next time, because
Sweet.
he actually is, I think, the only breeders of Parson Russell Terriers in Malaysia.
Glenn, you gotta check it out.
This is
What's
something
the page?
very
What's the page?
special.
PRT Malaysia, just PRT_Malaysia.
Okay.
It's super.
Join.
His dogs are flying, like his dogs are freaking flying on the
Super hunting
recalls.
dogs. Definitely,
Love
we'll
it.
definitely have him when we speak
Thank you
about
so much,
breeds
guys.
next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
For
Glenn.
sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
thanks, guys.
Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Very safe. Thank you.
Yay!